Hello and welcome to the second installment of the Star Wars Armada for Vassal tutorial series. This is Green Knight speaking. Today we'll look at the basics of how to get a game running on Vassal. It's pretty similar to how you do it on the tabletop, only of course there are no physical components. So instead of using your hands to move stuff around, there's a lot of click and drag with your mouse. So let's log on. I forgot to say something in the first tutorial, and the first time you log on to the server you have to provide a username and a password, and that username can be anything, but I'd recommend just using your username from the FFG forums, for example. Okay, I'm gonna maximize this. This is how the game looks when you start. You start in the main room, aka the lobby, and you can currently see there are just 2 players logged in. That's Matt, he's from Perth, Australia, and that's me, Green Knight, from Europe. And there are lots of buttons over here. They have to do with server controls, and there are lots of buttons over here having to do with gameplay, and there are some menus here. So yeah, and of course the chat. There's a text chat integrated, so I can say hello. This is a test. We'll talk more about voice communication in a later tutorial. Okay, so to play a game you need to set up a new room, and you do that by clicking in this white box next to new game and name it something, tutorial 2, and enter, and you can see I was transported into the new room immediately. You can also see this table button here. It's grayed out, so there is no table to look at yet, so we have to go to file and new game. That's pretty intuitive, and you have some options here. You can either be an observer, so you're not playing, you're just looking at it, or you can be player 1 to 6. Of course most Armada games only have 2 players, but there is room for 6 for the all-out assault game on the Carillion conflict. So I'm gonna just pick player 1 and next, and now I have to pick one of these maps. I can go with a black background, I can go with the classic blue-green rift, Death Star Orbit from Rogue One. There are many maps for a variety. There isn't really any. This is my favorite. So okay, now the table button is no longer grayed out, so I'm gonna hit that one, and here we can see the actual table, and we have some zoom buttons on top, lots of other buttons, but we'll explain those in due course. We're gonna stay basic for this one. So I can zoom out. Here you see the entire table, 6 times 3 feet, with gray areas to set up, pretty similar to a tabletop game. And we have all the obstacles here and a selection of tokens, and we have two quick spawn tokens here as well. More about those later. So I can zoom in, zoom out, and you can set zoom here too. So I'm gonna close the table. I usually play this game on 2 screens, because then I can have this chat and interface thing on my left screen, and I can have the table on my right screen. It's either that or have a very large high resolution screen, and then you can sort of split screen. It's not a requirement, of course, but I find it easier. On the other hand, it gets very difficult to make a tutorial if I try to stream 2 screens. So this time I'm just gonna split my screen, I think, and I'm gonna do it like this maybe. No, I'm not going to do it like that. I'm gonna stretch it out on top there. So then I'm gonna bring up the table, and I'm gonna reduce the table so that I can see both at the same time. Okay. There are 2 ways to bring a fleet into being here. You can either use the pieces button which contains every usable piece in the game, ranging from Carillion conflict stickers to ships, to squadrons, to squadron cards, to objective cards, obstacles, tokens, everything you need, it's here. And moving something onto the table is really simple. If I want an ISD, I click the ISD, I drag it, and I drop it, and suddenly there's an ISD on my table. And repeat until you have a whole fleet assembled. And after your fleet is assembled, we are going to look at how you can save it for later, so you don't have to repeat this process over and over again. Okay, so I have my ISD here, but there is a faster way of setting up. I'm going to show that to you now. I'm just going to delete it, Control Delete, and I'm moving that one over here. I'm going to focus on Imperials, and I right-click this token. Everything can be click-dragged or right-clicked. Right-clicking something brings up the interaction menu. The interaction menu is different for every component. And for the quick spawn token, I can bring any objective into play, except the campaign ones. I can bring a couple ship cards into play. I can bring squadrons. And like all other items in the game, I can use Control-C to clone it, copy, or Control-D to delete. So if I want 2 of these tokens, I can copy. And if you mouse over, you will see a stack image. So, but I don't need more than 1. So I'm going to right-click it, and I go and I want an Imperial class Star Destroyer, ESD2. Okay, and I also want a Gladiator 2. Okay, I'm going to just space them out over here. Well, there's Matt saying hi. Should we answer? Should we ignore him? Raider 1. And okay, let's do a cruiser. I guess anti-cruiser there. Okay, we have to answer him, or he'll think I'm being rude. Making a tutorial for YouTube. Okay, now I want squadrons, and I'm gonna keep it pretty simple. I want Suntir, I want Reimer, and I want, I don't know, Darth Vader maybe. This is gonna be a lot of points, so it's not real in this form. Yeah, and of course Mauler Middle. That goes without saying, and we could do Tempest Squadron, that's nice, and yeah, I think that's it. Okay, so now we have squadrons, and here's the trick. If I right-click this card, I can spawn a command stack. Whoa, look, here we have 3 command dials, and I can do that for each ship, or I can do it for 2 ships at a time. I can also bring the model into play, spawn ISD, and there, or I can just use the hotkey instead of bringing up the menu. If you look at the menu, there is always a key combination, or most of the time there's a key combination. So having a piece selected and pressing those keys does the same as right-clicking and clicking in the menu. This gets very useful when you are more familiar with the game. Okay, and I can do the same for the squadrons. I can do spawn squadron. Wow, that was pretty fast. Even while explaining this to you, I assembled my fleet in, I don't know, a couple of minutes. And there. Now everything is set to sort of zero shields, 0 hit points, no defense tokens. You can sort of select Darth Vader, and then you can, I don't know, stats, gain hit points, and I can do that until he has 5 hit points, or I can press the Alt H combo to bring it up to 5. You can see important bits being reported into the chat so the other player knows what you're doing. I can also just push that default set of values button. See? It takes a little while to calculate because there are a lot of squadrons and ships on the table. But there you go. Everything has shield set to the correct starting amount. Hull is correct for everything. And you can see little defense tokens being deployed on the ship's bases. This is one difference between the module and playing on a table. Of course, you don't have your defense tokens stuck to your base like this, but it's pretty convenient. And instead of sort of when you're playing on a table, you can easily glance on all the ship cards and stuff, but when playing, you will often find that you focus on the actual map, and to look at ship cards and stuff, you have to scroll up and down and up and down, and it gets tedious. And so it's much simpler just to stick the defense tokens onto the bases like that. And you can do similar things. I can put a nav token on there. I can do a flagship token. I can do an objective token. I can do scarred veteran tokens for the campaign. Stuff like that. You don't have to use this functionality. You can just open the pieces menu, tokens, and kind of, yeah, if I want an evade token, I can totally put an evade token on the next to the ship card or on top of the ship card or whatever. So if you want to go old school, you can do that, but 99% of players prefer to have tokens stuck on ship and squadron bases. Okay, I'm gonna take those away. Since I make this module, I obviously know a lot of hotkeys, so I don't use the menus too much. And that's it, really. You have brought your fleet into existence, and if you were to play here now, you would either just click, drag. You saw what I did? I just clicked and dragged the blue box around everything, and then I can just click, drag the entire shebang. Okay, or I could put it on top here. One player has to be bottom, one player has to be top. Okay, and for the final lessons for today, let's learn how to save the game. To save a game, you have to first assemble the components, then you have to go to File, and it's not Save Game, it's Begin Log File. Okay, not save the game, begin log file. So begin the log file, and you have to call it something and save it somewhere. I'm just gonna call it setup, and it's supposed to be a vlog file, so if it doesn't spell out vlog, just push .vlog there and save. And what we want to do now is click, drag, blue box around everything. Then you want to hit Control Delete or right click and select Delete, and suddenly everything is gone. And then you go to the main menu, and there's a bendy button. This is the undo button. Now hit undo until the fleet reappears. That was pretty fast. What we did was we made a log of us deleting and then returning the fleet into existence. And now we can just go to File and End Log File. And now if I just delete the fleet again like this, okay, I just logged into a new game. My fleet is nowhere to be found. Then I can go to File, Load Continuation, and I select the Setup vlog file. And now you can see this button previously grayed out. You can now push it until your fleet reappears. There. What we did was replay the log of a fleet being deleted and put back into place. So if you assemble your fleet beforehand, it takes like 2 seconds to set up a game, and that's pretty fast, much faster than you can do it on the table. That's it for today. For the next tutorial, tutorial 3, we'll talk about some basic play moves, how to move your ships, that sort of thing, measure things. Yeah. So stay tuned. Goodbye.